Hi guys, welcome to Under the Visor podcast, episode 1. Here today with Walsh. Say hi.
Hello.
And yeah, it's just going to be a chat about everything F1, league racing, and maybe other league races. I don't know. We're going to find out. And it's the first one, so anything can happen. So, I mean, let's start with sort of what league racing you're into. Yeah, so is it just F1 or?
Trying to do ACC, but I'm restricted by the fact I'm on Xbox and not PC.
Mm.
Otherwise, I would definitely move to doing some of that as well.
Yeah. Is that like GT racing then, or?
GT3 and GT4. It does on a handful of tracks. You'll know the well as me. The best one to go for is iRacing, but that's a while away.
Yeah, it's quite expensive, and it's on PC, so you've got to get a PC as well, which makes it even more expensive.
Got to sell out all the funds for a PC, and then
Well, I'll tell you what, if this
got to pay even extra just for the cars and tracks.
if this podcast makes the money for the PC, I'll get you a PC.
I'm holding you to that. That.
It's up to you to keep it interesting then.
Oh no! Don't put that pressure on. Put that pressure. Well, I missed a lot of I missed every race in the first season of ORS. So
yeah,
I won't have anything on that.
Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's talk about ORS now then. You missed the first season, but the second season, and I think it's been quite a fun season so far.
It's been fun. It's been close.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we're not even halfway through the season. We're about a quarter way through the season. So, you still focused on that championship, or?
Aye, definitely. No matter what league I'm in, that's the main focus. It's a championship. I'm sure you'll be the same. Only 8 points between you and me.
Yeah.
Jelly's still away out in front. He's the one we've got to claw back.
yeah. It's interesting because I was looking at the points from last season. He's only got one more point from last season to this season after 7 rounds. But I think because me and you were fighting so hard between the positions behind him, second place isn't as close as it was. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what happens when he doesn't turn up.
Definitely. I think there was one race he couldn't make it, but I couldn't make it either. So I think he got away with it. I think you missed that race as well.
Do you know what race it was? Because I've missed.
Last week you missed Bahrain.
Yeah.
Do you not?
Yeah, I missed Bahrain.
I think I missed the one before Baku. I'm pretty sure.
Actually. Let's bring it up.
I'm sure there was a race I couldn't make, or there's one coming up I can't make. Might be a spoiler.
You didn't make Spain.
Spain, that was the one then.
Jelly's made every race so far.
He's finally made the call.
So Bahrain was an interesting race, that's for sure. A bit sad I wasn't in it, to be honest. I could have capitalised on that. But
it was a great fun race. Jelly, you got pole, I believe. I think, and I was second on the grid. Right. And Cam, the new driver, I think he came third. And I got off to a great start. Jelly didn't. The connection issues as usual. I got off to a good start and I took the lead quite fine, and I was about 15 seconds up the road from the guys in second and third, so I was looking for a comfortable win, and I came in, done my pit stop, and I must have been maybe halfway through my out lap after that, and the safety car came out.
Ouch.
Kind of just destroyed my lead I had, which is what allowed Gingers to get into the race. And then from there, him and me battled pretty much the last 25% of the race. Him and me were side by side, trading places. It's probably one of the closest races I've had for a win in a while, apart from maybe Saturday going there against you three, against you two. But it was an interesting race. There was a lot of drama behind me. I missed a lot of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Mr. Jelly's here.
Oh, Jelly's here.
Yeah. He's here. He's made it.
Yeah,
he's made it.
I've made it.
Championship.
Managed to drag yourself away from Football Manager.
It was just about. I'm watching Leeds game at a minute now. So.
All right,
Professional as always.
No. Aaron. It was the second week in a row I got blocked by Liam in quali, and then I've still got pole, and then I got spun into turn one because my wheel wasn't connected. And then I managed to get all the way back up to P2, and a safety car restart, and then I can't remember who it was. I think it was Tiller or Stig, one of those two, one of the Red Bulls anyway.
It was me in front of you that caused all the drama.
Yeah, but I got hit from behind after reacting to it when you were in your back end. And it sent me all the way back to the back of the grid again.
It was a safety car restart coming through turns 1 and 2. Coming through 2, I decided to shake my booty at Jelly all the way through it. And he had to dive out the road, and somebody hit into the back of him, and that caused absolute carnage behind.
Yeah. The stewards had a busy time that week, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Actually,
but, I mean, it was still a great race.
Oh yeah, it looked it. I just wish I was there to sort of capitalise on the Jelly incident.
Yeah, I got myself a nice lead now.
Yeah, too big. In fact, Jelly's actually further ahead than Ginger's.
Never be too big.
So Ginger's is actually very less than 10 points behind me. Yet Jelly's got over a 30-point lead. So, I think we should be more worried about Ginger's at this stage than Jelly. In fact, let's talk about another sort of busy race, especially for me and you, Jelly. China. I seem to remember you took me out.
That wasn't the fun first.
I remember it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I watched it in my mirror.
At least when I took you out, I didn't ruin your race. It was only 2 corners later that your race got absolutely ruined.
Yeah, very true. But you still managed to finish second in the end, didn't you?
Only because Walsh spun.
Oh right, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he lost it on his own.
Hand on my back end went away. Lost it on all, and I was fuming.
So Australia was the second time you spun?
Yeah. Australia, I was just pushing because I got picked. I was sitting behind you, trying to keep the 3 seconds, because you had 6 seconds worth of penalties, wasn't it? I had 3 seconds, and on the second to last lap, I picked up another one, so which meant I had to overtake you on track.
Part of me was like, Jelly, just let me through. I won't go any.
Yeah, no,
I won't go 3 seconds over.
I was going to let you through. I was going to let you through as soon as I saw you had 6 seconds of penalties, and then because I had no warnings at that point, and I was going to let you through down the back straight just after the fast chicane, and I ended up getting 2 warnings on that lap. So I was like, oh no, I'm not going to risk it because Walsh only had 3 seconds worth of penalties at that point. So if I made a mistake, then I was, rather than winning the race, I'd end up finishing third. So rather than having a 1-2 for Merck, we'd end up having a 1-3, and I'd be in third rather than first. So I didn't want to risk it.
I mean, I'm sure me and Walsh wouldn't have minded.
No,
I
wouldn't
have minded at all.
And I mean, because of, no offence to the other drivers, but because of how well we're doing, Mercedes have sort of run away with the championship. We're on 146, and Renault, which is Jamie's team, they're on 87.5 points. So we've sort of pulled out a big gap there.
I think I'm now just focusing on the drivers at this point. No offence to my teammate. Danny, he's a great consistent driver. That's one of the things I do like about having him as a teammate. He's very consistent. He'll pick up points where he shouldn't. That's what he does well, but he's a midfield driver, unfortunately. So when the two drivers like ourselves are in at the front in the same team, it's always going to be hard to try and get the constructors.
Yeah, he's currently sat 7th in the championship, so he's not doing too bad. Apart from Spain, he's scored points in every race he's entered. So
that's one of the great things about him. Bahrain, he got third. He got a podium. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that was just out of his consistency, staying out of the way.
Half a point, that was where the half point was from, I think.
No, the half point was the half point. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. He got the half point in Spain. He didn't get any points in Austria. Well, Austria was a good race, though.
It was a great race. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, were you two battling that whole race? Because I'm sorry not to brag, but I was too far in front.
We were battling the full race, me and Jelly battling full race for second, and I think Jelly was at 5 laps to go or something. I came into contact with a back marker.
Yeah.
And that kind of ruined the race from there. I think I got 6.
So that was. In fact, no, it wasn't my first. It was my second race using no assists. So I feel I did all right in that one. But
no, yeah. So I know Jelly uses some assists. Jamie, do you use any assists or?
Not in this league. That's one of the reasons I joined the league was to use it as a place to learn no assists.
Right. Yeah.
Because in the other leagues I'm in, I use manual and medium traction control and ABS. And this one I just use ABS and manual, no traction.
Yeah, I use no assists, so it's quite interesting. I mean, the fact that you're using this to really practice, but you're still only second in the championship, I think says quite a lot.
It's what I'm doing this season as well. I'm using these races to try and nail down no traction. I'm trying it in other leagues also, but I always seem to crash.
I'm starting to use it more in other races. In fact, there was a practice race last night with the guys from our league. I think I was running third. I think I still finished third actually, but I think I was running third about 5 seconds off second and spun it 3 times in 1 lap.
That's kind of impressive in a weird way. But let's talk about BFR, because I don't really know a lot about BFR. This is the other league you run in F1. What's that? I take it it's probably different to ORS.
It's
quite different.
In there.
Yeah. Daly's an admin, so he takes a lot more of the stick than I do. And I'm a moderator, so Jelly gets me to do all his work, and he takes all the stick if it goes wrong. But I think, it's a different atmosphere in BFR, is the only way to put it. I think that's probably one of the good things about ORS, definitely. Is the atmosphere to it. Yeah, we all have our arguments in it, but at the end of the day, we've all got the community side of it. We all want the league to progress. This BFR, there's a lot more inter-fighting, inter-arguments, and a lot more, not competitiveness, but they're all focused on themselves. Still a great league, but they're all focused on themselves trying to get that championship. Whereas in ORS, we all want the championship, but we'll have a laugh and a joke and the way to do it.
Yeah. So in BFR, the drive's a lot closer, or
They can be.
well,
Jelly, you
got-
saw the
we've got,
first 2 seasons from the outside.
I mean, I was racing in both of them, but yeah. So, well, I mean, we've got an esports side as well, so there's quite a lot of quick people in there. Like they put me to shame.
Okay, that is impressive. Considering
Was our fastest drive?
I'm
Our
not
fastest
even-
drive was about.
Yeah, he's probably about a second clear of me.
Second
a
or so.
lap.
He's a bit a
Like,
second.
I'm not
clear of me.
even. Well, I mean, this season I'm in tier 1, so we got three tiers for Xbox, and now there's 3 on PC and 1 on PS4 as well. I'm in tier 1 on Xbox. And I think I finished either 11th or 12th in the championship. What's just gone?
We've got 4 on Xbox now.
So,
We've got the reserve tier as well.
yeah, well, we've got if you count the reserves tier as well, so yeah, then there's 4. So,
They've got a lot more.
I'm in tier 1. Do you know, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. Doing my own BFR having a 400 people is great, but Julie will probably agree with this. There's only maybe about 30 or 40 of them we actually know and talk to on a regular basis. The rest of them, a lot of them just show up, race, and then don't really talk in the chat. Charlie Partridge is the perfect example. He's a guy we race with. I don't think I've ever seen that man use Discord.
yeah.
There's ORS, we all talk before and after every race and throughout the week and things coming up to the races. With BFR, there's only maybe about 10% of the guys that do that.
So, do they constantly have full grids, or?
We try our best. Me and Jelly try our best. Jelly, he deals with tier 2, and I deal with tier 2. He deals with it a lot more than me, to be fair. But we always try and fill up the grids with reserves and things, which is one of the benefits to the big community, is we can always find somebody to fill a seat, but sometimes it's just not possible. Especially for tier 3. It was kind of hard to fill the tiers up with, just off the sheer fact is because that is the slowest tier. We can't take anyone from any of the other tiers and put them in.
Yeah.
Whereas tier 2 and tier 1, if we had a smaller grid, we could backfill it with the guys from tier 2 and 3.
I think
it's one of the benefits of the 3 tiers.
Yeah. I think the nice thing about RS is that everyone sort of knows each other. It's sort of its own small community.
Definitely.
And I mean, we take the mick out.
That's what I would say is one of the best things about RS, because it is a smaller community. We all do kind of get to know each other. We all kind of get to know each other's driving style as well, which helps for in the races. BFR is great to race for. We've done a new thing. Me and Jelly have done a performance tier thing, which is kind of, I've not seen anything else like it. I don't know if you have. Basically, it's realistic car performance, realistic weekend. So the full qualifying, Q1, 2, and 3, and 100% race distance, simulation damage, no ghosting. Everything's as realistic as they can possibly get it.
I mean, that sounds like fun.
And
probably sounds like hell to some others.
Great fun. To try and keep the driving as close as possible, we introduced team budget caps. So we've got team bosses, and they sign the drivers within their budget cap. They can save up off our earnings from races and buy a new driver and sell their old one or whatever they want to do. But it kind of keeps the driving as fair as possible for as long as possible, so you don't end up with the fastest guy in the Mercedes, and the slowest guy in the Williams, and the racing just becomes too spread apart. Still got some standout performances. I mean, the guy Kieran that we say is about a second faster than us, he's in the Williams because he cost too much, and Williams also had the biggest budget because of the slowest car, and he still comes in 5th every race.
That's impressive.
So you still get that imbalance. But no, it's working really well, and the drivers earn their own wage as well from the teams, and they can use that to buy assists for each race. But their max wage they can earn is 75,000, but you can't afford to buy all assists with 75,000. They come in at about 90,000 a race.
Right. Okay.
So they would need to run without some sort of assist to try and make it as realistic as possible, but I still allow some of the guys who can't use no assists into the race. So it's working really well. It is one of the best things about it.
Are you forced into
Sorry?
cockpit? Are you forced into cockpit or anything, or?
No, we didn't do that because I think that would cause too many accidents.
Yeah, fair enough.
Especially for the first wee while, anyway.
Yeah.
I use cockpit view. I've always used it.
Angles on I don't think you can force camera angles on people anyway.
There's no way for us to check that either.
Yeah. True. Let's go back to Jelly here.
Jelly's stuck in an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
So actually, what cars are you?
2.5 seconds slower than the Merc. Sorry.
So you're in Alfa Romeo. What are you in, Jamie?
I'm Mercedes.
Wow. Okay, that's put into perspective quite a lot of. Wow. That's like.
It's because I was in tier 3 when it was put together, so my price was 700,000 to buy me as a driver. Jelly, yours was $1 million, wasn't it?
$1 million, yeah.
I think. Yeah, yours was $1 million. So Mercedes could afford me, and Daniel, one of the other racers from ORS, that we brought in. So him and me are in teammates in Mercedes. Which is kind of fine. It's weird for me in ORS because I don't think I'd race in anything but a Mercedes. I don't think I ever have, and I ever will. But ORS, I'm forced into a Renault, so it feels really weird and out of place for me. Currently sitting with my Mercedes top on, my Mercedes hat on, and racing a Renault.
I want to go back to Jelly here. I asked Jamie if he does any other leagues. You play a lot of Forza, don't you?
Not particularly. Again, in BFR though, we've got the Forza side set up in there as well, which runs on a Friday. But we did a charity stream on the 28th of December.
Yeah, 28th.
I can't remember how much we raised. It was around 400 quid, I think, or something around there.
All right, wow.
It was somewhere around that mark. In fact, it was, because if it was over 400, Banter would shave his moustache off.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But to be fair, I'll mainly play either Assetto Corsa or F1 or Football Manager, which I've been playing a lot recently.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on it for the past week.
Yeah, we know.
I just don't turn it off. I just leave it running on my laptop. So it says I've been on it for like, some people it says I've been on it for like 20 hours, and other people it says I've been on it for 2 weeks. So I've been on it apparently for the last 571 hours.
Right,
I've not turned it off.
So I'm going to ask you a question here. There's only one right answer. What's better, football or F1?
Well, there's only one right answer, isn't there?
For me, it's F1.
Nah, it's football all day.
What? Nah, I've never been into football. I just can't understand it. I don't know why.
I'm a massive football fan. I've got a season ticket to Celtic and everything. But Formula One wins.
I had a season ticket at Leeds for 4 years.
Oh, so
but,
you live in Leeds then?
I used to live near York, but now I've moved over towards near Liverpool.
Oh right, okay.
So
yeah. So Jelly, actually, this is what I was going to bring up. Season 1 of ORS. I mean, it was a lot closer, but I mean, you still won. Let me see if I can get the points up. What did you make of Season 1 of ORS? Because I think it was quite different to Season 2, really.
It was a lot of fun. Well, I thought anyway, winning championships is always fun.
I wouldn't know the
But
thing.
no, it's the first like league which I've actually. I think it is the first league which I've actually won.
Right.
So I finished third in BFR season 1, and then I won ORS, and then I won the F2 thing in BFR as well.
So you ended
But
on
no, ORS,
187. I ended on 143. And I checked after 7 rounds. This season, you've only got 1 more point than last season, which I found quite interesting.
yeah, there's more competition, I think, this season, and plus I didn't have a great race in Bahrain. I think Bahrain is my lowest finish in ORS.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, I can't really think of any other races where you've sort of struggled.
I didn't
Canada
DNF at all
last year.
season. I don't remember finishing.
Yeah, I think Canada helped you last year because my race did not go to plan, and that was just a mess.
Nah, Canada. Honestly, everyone else like in the whole league really enjoyed Canada, but honestly, Canada for me was just like it was just like I was racing on time trial. I don't think after like 5 or 10 laps, I don't think I saw another driver.
That's. Oh, I'm so jealous right now. I'm so jealous.
Like I think a couple of VSCs came out, so I never actually managed to lap anybody, but it was couldn't see anyone my winner is. But
and I'm in season 1.
I'm gonna try and find the
in season 1, it was only me and you that won races. You won 8, I won 5. This season we've already had 4, and there's only been 7 races.
Well, the first 4 had 4 different winners, I think, weren't there?
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot more competition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Callum joining as well, I imagine. I mean, he's DNF'd his first 2 races, but he'll get a race win under his name.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really know what happened to him last race.
So. That was loud.
That was Was that?
Is that me?
No, I think that's Jamie. Jamie, are you able to quickly mute yourself? Cheers.
Yep.
Sorry.
But yeah, so he came on call with me and Walsh after the race, or halfway through the race anyway. After he DNF'd, and so he said after the lobby restart to put the grid penalties, he forgot to put on his setup. And then so I was battling with him for the first lap and a half, and then as soon as I got past him and you got past him, he was just losing insane amounts of time just because he had no setup. And obviously he wasn't holding us up by battling us at that point. And then he ended up getting a drive-through under the VSC. And then so that lost him a load of places. And then a few laps later, a safety car came out. He decided not to pit at the first lap it came out, and then pitted the next lap it came out. So then he dropped all the way to last again. And then a couple of laps after the safety car came in, I think it was Daniel. Something happened just ahead of Daniel, and Daniel was on the hard as well at that point, so he was obviously a lot slower than Callum. And because something happened just ahead, Dan had to slow down, and Callum just wasn't prepared, and then lost all of his wing, and basically was just out of the race at that point.
Yeah, just unlucky at that point then. I think he's going to sort of really catch up in the second half of the season, because I mean he's quick, like really quick.
Yeah, he's fast.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up catching and then ends up winning this season. Like, I wouldn't put it past him.
I wouldn't put it past him finishing in the top 3. Although, actually, to be fair, it's a longer season this season, so fair point on.
Yeah, we're only a third not quite a third. Yeah, we're just under a third of the way through, I think.
Yeah. There's 23 races, so it's 7, 14, 20. Yeah, so about a third of the way through. Yeah. What race are you looking forward to this season? Because we've got a few more races. So.
Not next week. That's one. I hate Vietnam. I despise it.
And then it's Monaco the week after.
No,
so
USA. I've done 3 league races in USA, and every single one of them has been like real. It's not been. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like constant overtakes, but it's always really close racing. It's fun track to drive as well. So.
Yeah.
Apart from tier 3, that was nice.
Only because the rain came out at the wrong time for you.
What race are you looking forward to then, Jamie?
Either Britain or USA. I love both the tracks. Britain, home GP, and I think it's one of my strongest tracks. USA, as Jelly said, the racing's always great there, and again, that is my strongest track.
Bahrain short as well. I think that will be a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely.
With a reverse grid as well.
Just so you know, Jamie, your mic's playing up a bit. I don't know if you unplug it and plug it back in. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I'd like the idea of Bahrain short. To be fair, that's going to be close racing because I think that's going to be all about slipstream. I tried 1-1 wings there, and honestly, the car seemed fine. Like,
you're giving us tips then.
I
might have to try some 1-1 wings.
It's weird because I thought there'd still be a little bit of downforce, but I was like, you know what? I'll try 1-1 just to see how it is, you know. And it's like, if you're over 1.5 seconds behind the car in front, you're done. You're done. Like, there's no getting back from it.
Yeah, I've done a 100% race there. It was only against AI, but the racing on it was really fun, and that was only against the AI. So I've never actually done more than a 5-lap race at Bahrain Short online, but I've seen videos of it and the racing where it seems to be proper close, the whole race.
Yeah.
No, that's one question. Will it be a 50% or a 100% race there? Especially because there's no qualifying because it's reverse grid.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing because it's going to be reverse grid as well. It'll be more interesting, but I think I'm going to make it 100 just because there's no qualifying and it's the last race of the season. So,
it'll last 58 minutes roughly. So it's a 100% race, which is around the time a short quality and a 50% race takes anyway, around an hour.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. What about Singapore? Because you quite like it, don't you?
I like Singapore.
There's something wrong.
It's one of my favourite tracks.
Something wrong with you.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's bloody hard.
Singapore was my first ever league run, like ever.
Yeah, no thanks.
So I've seen everyone else they seem to pick up penalties or clatter into a wall at least once in that race, and I don't know. I always seem.
If you clatter a wall and put yourself out, I wouldn't mind at all.
I probably will now. I've said this.
Okay, let's go back to season 1 again. Let's talk about Vietnam. Vietnam was quite fun. It was in the wet, but I still think it was quite fun. I mean, by the sounds of it, you hated it, but
no, I don't like the track. I mean, the race there, what we had last season, that was a lot of fun, but I still don't like the track. I got wiped out on that back straight as well. In that race.
I saw a Rob. I went up the inside of him on the straight because it bends round, and he just sort of moved over. I was like, oh, all right then.
I think it was Rob who caught me.
But he was sort of a
Can't
pain in
remember.
that race, wasn't he?
But
To be fair, he was a pain in Australia as well. He is a quick driver, to be fair to him.
he did me a massive favour in Australia. That safety car restart, as soon as he overtook you coming in there, straight away, it brought a big smile on my face.
I was shouting at him down the mic like, "Stop being such a..." Oh, it was interesting. Interesting.
Right, I think that's my mic sorted now.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
It seems it. Yeah.
So we've got the race you're looking forward to. So, what race have you enjoyed the most so far this season?
Well, the last 10 laps or 8 laps or whatever it was, Australia. That was honestly, I think that was the most fun I've had in any league race ever, those last 8 to 10 laps.
I was sweating my balls off.
So was I. I had to go outside for a while to cool down.
Honestly, I would say that's probably one of the best races I've had. Hungary, maybe.
You started
I
from the
really
back of that
enjoyed
race
Hungary.
as well.
I started dead last because I spun it and blocked the pit lane. I don't even know how that happened. Do you know what? I spun it and I saw the Red Bull coming round to start a flying lap, and I spun it in the last corner. So I thought I'll just power out his way, and then when he's out the way, I can spin round. And I powered out his way, and it put me on the grass, and the game disqualified me for driving backwards. And then he pulled into the pits and drove into me, and it disqualified him for blocking the pit lane.
I think if you spin again, we'll have to call you Vettel. So, yeah.
Oh, definitely don't call me Vettel. So I mean, that means I'm due 4. So I'll take that actually.
Fair enough. Who do you support in real life then? I'm a Hamilton fan, and Leclerc's very close behind. But I mean, I take it you're a Mercedes fan.
I think, mate. Yeah, Mercedes, Hamilton. Well, pretty much any team Hamilton's in, I'll support. But yeah, Mercedes, Hamilton, George Russell's close.
I'm from sort of where he grew up, sort of that area. So, yeah, I think that's mainly why I'm a Hamilton fan. Apart from, he's very fucking good.
I think I started watching it, Formula One in 2013. I think around about in the Red Bull years.
Yeah.
And I only watched it when I came in for playing football on a Sunday. It was like the only thing on. And I would watch it, and because he was British, I thought, I quite fancy him doing well. And then for there, it just kind of grew on, and then he went on to become, well, the greatest of all time, in my opinion. That's a subject for some people.
I think he is as well. I think he's up there with Senna and Schumacher.
My top 3 always was Senna, Hamilton, Schumacher. Lauda's close to Schumacher for me.
I can back that. What about you, Jelly?
Well, I don't really support anyone, if that would make sense, but I do like a few drivers and prefer it when they do well. I wouldn't go as far as say I'd support them. But I like Gasly. I like Ricciardo and Russell as well.
Yeah,
I think we can all universally agree we like Ricciardo.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not like him. But
I think the only person on the grid that doesn't have a fan is probably Latifi. Have you ever heard of a Latifi fan? It just doesn't exist.
I quite like.
He's a forgotten driver.
See, no one else likes Stroll, but I quite like Stroll as well. He's so you know when you hear the underdog story. See, no one likes Stroll, so I like it when he does well because it'll piss other people off.
See, he's not. That's the thing with Stroll. It's not that I dislike him for his driving or being a driver. I dislike how he got there.
There's tons better drivers out there, but I mean, he had a decent season last season. I mean, he got
he's a good driver.
He deserves.
He's a good driver. I think,
he didn't deserve to get his seat, but he deserves his seat now. That's what I think.
Yes, I think that's why he gets a lot of the stick he does. I don't personally dislike him. I just don't like how he got his seat in the first place, because there is better drivers out there that should have got it first.
I don't dislike
Money
his
talks, though.
personality. I think he's an all right person. I just think, like Jamie, I don't think he should be there. Because he kicked Ocon out. I think Ocon's a better driver than Stroll, in my opinion. People have different opinions, but I think Ocon should have stayed rather than him, just because his dad's there.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I can understand why he's there, because if it was my father and he got the team, then I wouldn't expect to drive for him. But obviously, if I was good enough to get a seat in F1, then there would be nobody else I would want to race for. It would make sense that I end up in his seat, but I think he was only given the opportunity because of who his dad is.
Yeah. And the other thing that annoys me as well is
they lost.
Perez won a race for them, and he got kicked out just because Stroll wasn't going to move, was he?
That's why I was going to say. There's drivers out there that we could have lost. We've lost, but they deserve the seat more. Stroll, Hulkenberg.
Yeah, so I don't
how
think
that man's
Vettel
not
should
got an F1 seat, I don't get it.
I don't think Vettel should have got the seat at Aston Martin, personally. I like Vettel, but I don't think he should have got the seat.
I understand why he got the seat, and it wasn't to do with money. I think it's down to because what he can bring into the team in terms of development. I think that what he uses his knowledge of the inside working into Ferrari and just his general experience in F1 to actually bring the team forward. I don't see him being there more than 3 years.
So I don't think they need someone who can bring in development when they just use the last season's champions car.
I think it's more for going into the new regulations, which is rumours they'll be pushed back again. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah. So I think they've been. I think those rumours have been squashed. They got squashed. I'm pretty sure.
I think Vettel's there to sort of show them how to win championships, then leave, and then someone else. I'd love to see Gasly in the Aston Martin or something. I think that could be quite cool.
If the new regulations come in, Aston Martin, I think, have came in at the right time. They're going to use last year's Mercedes car. Let's be honest, we all know this. But when the new regulations come out, they'll have hope they'll have exploited a loophole in development. It was an interview with Gene Haas, who hadn't realised that there's a loophole in the development process. Now they only have so many hours of wind tunnel time and a budget, or not a budget cap, but how much they can realistically spend on development and how much parts they can buy from other teams. And they need to design some parts as well, like the brake ducts, which was the whole thing that happened last season. That's only if you're registered as with the FIA as a Formula One team, either for the current season or for the next season. If you're not registered, you can spend the amount of money you like, buy the amount of parts you like, and share as much information as you like, and use the wind tunnel as much as you like. So the loophole there is, Gene Haas was talking about it. If he knew about this, he'd have waited another year before he'd signed the agreement with FIA to be a team in Formula One. Just went absolute ham with the development. Because he wouldn't have had to have adhered to those regulations. So if Aston Martin have done that correctly, exploited that loophole, and developed a car for the new regulations, they could be a team to watch when that happens. And I think Vettel will be there for the first season of it.
I think a lot of eyes will be on them to see how well they do. Not just in the 2021 season, but 2022 when the regulations do come in. Were they just copying, or is that the only reason they're doing well? Because I think McLaren will be a good way to sort of recognise that success or failure that the team are, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think McLaren might. I mean, they won't go backwards to when was it, 2018 when they dropped massively down. But I think McLaren will this year. They're having to design their whole car.
Yeah, they're going to really struggle. I mean, McLaren use a high rake approach to the car the same way Red Bull do. And I think they're going to really struggle to get the airflow that the Mercedes engine needs.
Yeah, I talked about Red Bull actually. I don't rate Red Bull at the minute because I feel like that second seat is never going to be, whatever drive they put in there, I don't think is going to be good enough because they're not Max Verstappen. You know, that car's built.
I can completely agree with that. I can completely agree with that. I wouldn't want to be a driver signing for Red Bull because you know the minute you go in, you're going to be second choice. Realistically, what they want is a driver that's going to come in, do what he's told, get the points, but never outscore Verstappen.
Yeah,
because he's a golden child.
Yeah, they want a Bottas driver, don't they?
Yeah, effectively so. There was an interesting question online actually. I saw, is Bottas a bad driver, or is he just outshone by Hamilton being so good?
To be fair, that's an interesting question. I think Russell's definitely better than him because the way Russell came into that Mercedes seat in Sakir and just sort of blitzed it, I think...
Oh, that was outstanding.
Yeah, I think Bottas is worthy of a Formula 1 seat, but is he worthy of the Mercedes seat? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. With the drivers that are on the grid now, I would say no. I would say Russell and Hamilton are the ones that are worthy of that Mercedes seat. Especially not taking into account that all the achievements Hamilton's got, taking into the amount of development he'll have put into that car from 2014. That's why he deserves that seat. Bottas, we saw what he was like in the Williams. He was phenomenal in the Williams. When they were higher up the grid, he was phenomenal. And then he's moved to Mercedes, and everyone says he looks like half the driver. He was up against Massa, who, don't get me wrong, great driver. Bottas was starting to outshine him.
Yeah.
Hamilton doesn't let a teammate outshine him. We saw it with Rosberg. Even Rosberg admitted he couldn't do another season and beat Hamilton again. And I don't think Bottas has it in him to put that much in to try and beat him.
I think 2016 was an interesting year because, I mean, Hamilton actually was quite unlucky when you think about it, especially at Malaysia. His engine blew up.
That was the season kind of over at that point.
Yeah.
You knew at that point he couldn't recover it.
I don't know. For me, that was sort of a crying moment.
I was with you in that one.
Yeah. Any other moments you've cried at F1?
The win at Monaco. The day was it the day or the weekend that Lauda died? The day after Lauda died. Kind of brought a lump to my throat. I think just because obviously everyone knows Lauda's story. I'm assuming you have all watched Rush as well.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knew his story. They also knew the part he played in bringing Hamilton into Mercedes and making Mercedes what they were. It was a shock more than as well. So it was quite nice the way that Hamilton was able to get that win for Lauda.
It's interesting. A lot of people give Hamilton slack, but I think like that Monaco drive shows he doesn't win just because he's in the best car. Like he is a great driver.
I think there's been loads of races throughout his career that you can pull them together and show people that it's not the car. Folk are saying is it the car or the driver? Well, I'd actually say it's maybe about 30-70% of the driver, 30% of the car. Don't get me wrong, you take Hamilton, you put him in a Williams, he's not going to win a championship. But you take Hamilton, put him in a Red Bull, he very could easily win a championship in that Red Bull.
Beat Bottas.
He'd beat Bottas. I think he'd beat Verstappen.
Yeah, if the car's not built around Verstappen, then yeah,
It's not built around him, man.
yeah, yeah,
So they always say the best drivers always end up in the best car, and on top of that, folk forget the amount of development the drivers put into it. You maybe have seen it. There's a bit that Top Gear do on Ayrton Senna, and you see Senna. He's sitting just back in his kind of motorhome, talking to the engineers, and he's going through details on the track that I've never seen people do before. He's talking about a corner, and he's had there's 3 wee bumps on the right hand side that kind of do this to the suspension. That's the stuff that people that just watch F1 casually don't see, or people don't watch F1 and just hear about the results, don't see that kind of detail that go into it from the drivers. So that's why the best drivers get the best cars.
yeah.
It's the same with any sport. I don't understand why the debate is even a thing. It's the same with any sport ever. The best players or best drivers or the best whatever they do.
Ronaldo's not going to end up at Accrington Stanley.
Yeah, exactly. He'll always be in one of the best teams, and then there'll always be someone like a Bottas who's there just to back that team up and make that team click, if that makes sense.
Benzema was Ronaldo's Benzema.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
He'd be a good player, but he's not a world best
Star
player.
of the show.
Exactly. But he does enough to make that team win, pretty much, which is essentially what Bottas is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a great driver, and he just does enough to keep his job and just make Mercedes win without actually needing a title fight, which is what they don't want.
I know. I mean, you take it. Hamilton's drive to win his title. He was 7th at the start after qualifying. Stroll got pole in the rain. The race started wet. The conditions were horrible. There was people sliding off and spinning everywhere. Verstappen done it, who's meant to be, according to some people, better than Hamilton. Hamilton only beats him because he's in a better car. Yet Verstappen spun twice. Bottas spun
6 times.
6 times. That's not his best performance. Stroll.
Well, he still hasn't beat Walsh on how many times he spun.
I'm not getting this reputation. Don't try it. I'll turn traction control back on before that reputation arrives. But there were so many other drivers, good drivers, that we all know. Charles Leclerc, Vettel, although he's didn't look great, he's still a good driver. Verstappen, Bottas, who all could have took advantage of the shortcomings. Stroll and Perez as well could have took advantage of the shortcomings of Hamilton in qualifying. He still came through and won that race.
I still think if Stroll didn't get damaged, he would have won.
I think the change in conditions would have maybe caught him out. I think he's got enough experience to do what Hamilton done and run on those intermediates when the track was basically dry for the last 10 laps.
The thing about Stroll though is you look at Perez and how Hamilton overtook Perez. Like, Perez is a better driver than Stroll. I think almost 90% would agree.
Yeah, but it was another 10 seconds, 15 seconds up the road or something, wasn't he? So at that point.
But I don't know how far.
Until he had to pit, yeah. It was at least 10. I was pretty sure anyway.
I think he was about 10 seconds up the road, but he was losing time because of the damage.
It's because he had damage on his, something to do with his airflow. I think it was he had like one of the winglets or something was slightly out of place, and it was costing him like so much levels of downforce. I can't remember the exact numbers.
It was something like 15%.
Verstappen had one flap at like really high on the front wing, one really low. I think Stroll got floor damage.
Oh, was it floor or something? Yeah, it was something which cost him a load of downforce anyway, and it was costing him a load of time.
I don't think it cost him as much time as they were saying.
I mean, obviously they'll exaggerate it, obviously, but every team will do the same. But
I think Perez, without damage, Hamilton was closing in on him. And you look at the deltas at the time, he was closing in on Perez, who I would say is faster than Stroll, even in the way Stroll was driving that weekend. Hamilton was just closing down, and then at the end of the race, his pace Hamilton had over every other driver. I don't think MD could have competed with him. Even if you were 10 seconds up the road, those 10 laps, Hamilton was about 6 tenths faster than the guy that was in second.
So I think that's the strategy. What he did in that race played into his hands massively as well, because obviously the inters are softer than the softs, and once them grooves are gone, they were basically just ultra softs at that point.
Aye, pretty much.
So he was just on a faster tyre at that point, essentially.
I mean, I think as well that's where Stroll and Perez or Verstappen, I think, would have fumbled. They would have thought, right, it's dry, come in and put sauce on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they would have driven too slow with still running intermediates to avoid them heating up.
I think the other thing about Turkey as well, I'd rather have Turkey back than Portimao, because for me, Turkey, like, I was into F1 like 2010s sort of, era. So Turkey to me is like one of the best tracks in the world. I'd rather have Turkey back in race 3 than Portimao.
See, I think if they didn't resurface Turkey and it was dry, I reckon it would likely have been a boring weekend.
Yeah.
I could maybe agree with that.
I think in 2022, when they've got less downforce on the car and it can follow a bit easier, hopefully, anyway, that Turkey would be an awesome track.
What's your opinions on Imola?
So you asked me this the other day, I remember, but I don't like that there was no racing, and I just found it quite boring.
No, I like the track. I mean, it's similar. You can't not
the
track, but the racing.
The racing's awful, but the track is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think the racing was quite poor because they can't follow, but definitely the track itself, I would love to get in an F1 game to be able to drive it.
I mean, Verstappen could only overtake.
I think we can next year, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the calendar. I think it will be added. I think.
Yeah.
Like the only overtake I can think of is Bottas getting overtaken by Verstappen because Bottas made a mistake.
I remember Leclerc got past Magnussen, but obviously there's a big car difference there and a strategy difference, but that was a nice overtake.
Yeah.
And after the safety car, there was like two laps of good racing after the safety car, and it went back to normality until the rest of the race.
Where was Albon in that race in the end? Because Ricciardo got the podium.
I think he was running like 7th or 8th or something, standard Albon, and then after the safety car he spun. As soon as the safety car came in, he spun up like turn 3.
Yeah, the safety car came in, it was about turn 3, he spun. Tried to chase down a Haas.
And then he said someone hit him, he basically did a Grosjean. He said, I can't remember who he said hit him, but no one hit him.
Things with Albon, I absolutely love him. If I could choose who was in the Red Bull seat, I would choose him just because I like him. But you've got to be honest with yourself. Sometimes it's like he's just not good enough to be in that Red Bull seat. Like
that's exactly how
I think he was. I think once again this comes back to Red Bull. I don't think Red Bull treat him the way they should have treated a driver. They were too focused on Verstappen. I think he was kind of left to his own devices, really, at the team. You saw his performances in Toro Rosso, or now Alpha Tauri.
And I mean, even in his first half of the season in Red Bull, I thought he was awesome then. And then this season,
his first race at Belgium.
This season gone, he was nowhere. The whole season he was nowhere.
I think Gasly did just as good as Albon.
I think, over the Albon's full course there, yeah. I mean, when they both had half a season each, Albon was by far the better driver. But I would say, to be honest, Gasly did better in an AlphaTauri than Albon has in the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once again,
I think Gasly's probably been my driver of the season.
I think you can just tell the Red Bull culture is what's causing these drivers to drop out
I
or
think-
lose seats, because
I think the same
So
will happen
Gasly.
to Perez, to be honest.
I think the same will happen as well. Because you saw Gasly, great in the Toro Rosso, goes to Red Bull, gets replaced halfway through the season by Albon, goes back to AlphaTauri now, and has an amazing season. Albon was great in his first race at Red Bull, but they already knew Verstappen was kind of out of that because he qualified badly and then he crashed in the first corner. Second corner, it was up Rouge or Radio, and he crashed. And so they kind of had to turn their focus round to Albon for that race. So he got everything.
Yeah.
You saw the way he drove. He was overtaking left, right, and centre. And then since then, we just kind of let him go to ruin. And
He
it's
even
not.
overtook on
You
the
could
grass,
see.
didn't he?
Aye.
Yeah.
And you could not only just tell by the way that two drivers have went downhill the minute they went to Red Bull because they're not for starting. You can tell by the way Christian Horner and the Red Bull kind of top team talk about their second driver. Max Verstappen has a bad race. He was unlucky. He'll come back in next week. But if it's Albon, it was constant. What do you think Albon's performance? Well, it wasn't good enough, and we're going to need to see more from him. I mean, this is a seat that everyone kind of looks after in the grid. I think was one of Christian Horner's phrases. So we can't be having performances like that. Coming out and saying something about that, about your second, not a driver at your team, whether it's your first or second driver, shouldn't be done in public. It should be something a team manager should have, a team boss should have a talk with the driver about separately and privately.
See, I think if you think back, I can't remember which Silverstone race it was, but Albon crashed in practice this season.
Yes.
And I think for him that was the nail in the coffin that he was out the door pretty much. But they weren't announcing it obviously because it puts a bad light on them for never giving their drivers enough time. The only reason I think he stayed was to so Red Bull can sort of disregard that claim that they don't give their drivers enough time.
Personally, I think Mugello might have done it because he was struggling to get that podium, even though he got the podium. He was still struggling to get there. Like, Verstappen would have been right behind the Mercedes, but he was fighting with Ricciardo, you know.
Renault, yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, he probably only got the podium because 3/4 of the grid went out the race.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a track I would love to see back, Mugello.
Yes, definitely. I don't think the overtaking was that bad, to be honest.
It was the straight's long enough there to get moves into turn 1, and then they can follow through into turn 2 and 3, and then
it definitely
sort
be
of
great
dies
as
down
a league
again.
race. Definitely great as a league race.
Yeah, it would be quite fun as a league race.
Us three
I've driven
going
it on
side by side.
I've done it on a Assetto Corsa in the F 2004, and it's so much fun in that car.
I've done it in the SF17.
Yeah, I've done it in that car as
Assetto
well.
Corsa.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. We'll move on to the final conversation then. I was just thinking Twitch quartet. We spoke about Russell. We spoke about Albon. We spoke a bit about Leclerc. Norris. We've said nothing about Norris. What do we make of him? I think he's great. But...
I think he's a great driver. Great personality. I don't know if any of you know about his team Quadrant. He has. It's an esports team, and he has a YouTube channel. I mean, I think he's doing great, not just for the sport in terms of driving, but outside it as well.
It brings more fans into it, I would say, anyway.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like, people might not know about it. They'll stumble across him on YouTube or Twitch and then realise it's what he actually does.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's doing videos with Sidemen.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
30 million more people that are getting exposed to it.
Yeah, I mean, I rate him as a driver, but I think many people overrate him also, if that makes sense.
Agreed. I wouldn't rate him as good as Russell, personally.
No, he's not that.
I wouldn't say he's there. I would say he has the potential if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I can't see him winning a world championship, but
neither can I.
I could see him doing one. I could see him doing one, a wonder season.
He's
The
got
solid
Mercedes
driver.
engine behind him now as well.
I think there's too many good young people coming through, like compared to him anyway. Like Leclerc will probably win titles. Verstappen, but if Red Bull sort this stuff out anyway, might win titles with him.
I think
Russell
what's interesting
will likely win titles.
is when Bottas goes, Russell comes in. When Hamilton goes, I reckon he's quite a big contender for that seat, you know.
Starting.
So you never know.
I don't think Verstappen and Mercedes go together in my eyes.
That's just because you'll be used to seeing him at Red Bull, if that makes sense.
I would
think
out of the young drivers, the dream lineup I would say for Mercedes is Norris and Russell.
I'd love to see Verstappen and Russell at Mercedes. That'd be an awesome fight for the title, but I don't think it'd ever happen because I don't think Mercedes will want another Rosberg Hamilton situation.
No, they wouldn't.
That's why I think the best lineup is.
Which is why
So
they
Norris
probably would
for
go with someone like
I think
Norris wouldn't be as bad as Bottas.
no.
No, but at
No.
the same time, Bottas is exactly what Mercedes want, though, isn't he?
True.
Where do you think Norris would end up if he did leave McLaren?
Williams. I don't see him going to any of the Ferrari powered teams.
No. It's quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he's only done 2 seasons of Formula 1. Like, to
I'll
me,
be
that's
quite
mad.
honest. I don't think if there's any seats open, I don't think Norris would replace anyone. If that makes sense. I can't see him ever going to a Ferrari team, and I can't see him dropping down to someone like Williams or someone.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't really leave many options open. I don't think he'd go to AlphaTauri. I don't think he'd go to Renault either. So he'd have to go to basically Racing Point or Mercedes, and I can't see that happening if those seats are already taken. I don't think.
I don't see him in a Racing Point. I think the only seat that would be the logical move for Norris would be Mercedes or Williams if they all of a sudden came back up to being the third best car.
Well, it's Aston Martin now, isn't it? And they've got Mercedes engines. And
Yeah, well, I'll still probably end up calling them Racing Point until about 2025 or something.
Only
Or
until
Force
about last
India.
week I stopped calling them Force India.
Yeah.
It was only last week Oh no, was it? No, yeah, it was only last week I stopped calling them Jordan. Yeah. Well, I think that's it, boys. So yeah, thanks for coming
Been a
on.
pleasure.
Thanks for chatting.
It's been fun, even though I was 15 minutes late. But it was fun.
It was
Yeah, you
fun.
can go back to your football manager now.
It just means you lose 15 points in the ORS Championship, yeah?
You're
I'll
fine
still
with
be
that.
leading.
Yeah, that
Oh,
majority
right,
vote
don't
for that.
rub it in. Don't rub it in.
I think my gap in tier 3 was bigger. Don't think you'll ever beat that.
Well, I mean, it's hard to not beat that, isn't it?
What was your gap in tier 3?
No. Well, put it this way, right? So he was a tier 3 pace driver at the start of the season, and then he just ended up sweating the game out in comparison to the rest of the tier 3 drivers, and then ended up winning the championship by like 180 points or something like that.
Second got 186 points. I got 369.
Oh, okay.
Won it at Singapore.
Okay. Wow. That's impressive.
So Jelly, you'll not beat that. You've still got a way out.
I'll be honest, I don't think. I mean, I reckon if I went into tier 3, I could beat it.
Don't allow that. Don't allow that.
Let me do another season in tier 3. I want to beat it.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks to those who've watched the podcast, and I'll be back next week, hopefully with some more guests. See you then. Bye.